Interim Finance Minister Dr. Shamshad Akhtar has warned that Pakistan's economic situation is worse than anticipated and the government does not have the fiscal space to provide subsidies. She made these remarks during a meeting of the Senate Standing Committee on Finance on Wednesday. She asserted that the interim setup had inherited the IMF program, therefore it is non-negotiable. The finance minister further highlighted that measures other than the IMF program need to be taken. She added that the previous government had agreed on adjustments with the IMF and the incumbent setup could not do anything in this regard. Dr. Shamshad Akhtar's comments come as Pakistan remains plagued by the inflated cost of living, particularly exorbitant electricity prices that have forced residents to take to the streets across the country. So far, the caretaker government has failed to come up with any relief measures as it tries to strike a balance between avoiding drawing the IMF's ire and causing more citizens to blow the fuse. Moreover, US Acting Deputy Secretary of State Victoria Nuland held a phone call with Interim Foreign Minister Jalil Abbas Jilani, during which she assured him of Washington's support to stabilize Pakistan's economy and its continued engagement with the IMF. Meanwhile, the Pakistani rupee continued its downward march, sliding a further 1.4 rupees against the US dollar in the interbank market to close at 304.45 rupees. In the open market, however, the US dollar was trading at 319.5 rupees. PTI Chairman Imran Khan's counsel approached the Islamabad High Court against the appointment of the Anti-Terrorism Court Judge Abul Hasnat Zulkarnain to the special court recently established to hear cases filed under the Official Secrets Act. Earlier today, the ATC judge extended the PTI chief's remand in the cipher case till September 13th. The hearing was held in Attock jail, where the former premier is currently incarcerated in a graft case. The developments come a day after the IHC suspended the PTI chief's 3-year jail sentence in the Toshakhana case, in which he was convicted on 5th August. However, the special court had directed Attock jail authorities to keep him in judicial lockup and produce him today in connection with the cipher case. The special court also sent PTI Vice Chairman Shah Mahmood Qureshi on a 14-day judicial remand in the cipher case. Meanwhile, Karachi police arrested PTI Sindh President Halim Adil Sheikh from outside the Sindh High Court after he arrived to seek an injunction to prevent his possible arrest. However, the details regarding the case for which he was apprehended remained unclear. Sheikh was among the PTI leaders nominated in cases after the 9th May riots for allegedly facilitating and inciting violence and arson attacks on public and private properties and causing terror in reaction to the arrest of PTI chairman. Australians will vote on October 14 on whether they want to change the constitution to recognize Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island people, a defining moment in the struggle for Indigenous rights in the country. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese announced the date for the landmark referendum in Adelaide, describing it as a once-in-a-generation chance to unite the nation. Australians will now face a 6-week campaign before voting in the referendum, where they would be asked whether they support altering the constitution to include a voice to Parliament, an Indigenous committee to advise Federal Parliament on matters affecting the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island people. Australia is a global laggard on relations with its Indigenous people in comparison to many other developed nations, including Canada, New Zealand, the EU nations, and the US. It has no treaty with its Indigenous people, who make up about 3.2% of its near 26 million population and track below national averages on most socio-economic measures. The Kremlin has said that investigators were considering the possibility that the plane carrying mercenary chief Yevgeny Prigozhin was downed on purpose, the first explicit acknowledgement that he may have been assassinated. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that it is obvious that different versions are being considered, including the version that it was a deliberate atrocity. Asked if the International Civil Aviation Organization would investigate the crash, Peskov said that the circumstances made it different, though he cautioned that investigators had made no formal conclusions yet about what exactly took place, asking to wait for the results of the Russian investigation. A day ago, the Brazilian Aircraft Investigation Authority reported that Russia had informed Brazil that it will not probe the crash of the Brazilian jet under international rules.